where I'm kind of blessed is I can, since we work with so many different investors, then we can kind of gear ours towards whatever your strategy is. So, because I don't want to put money in a house that you're never going to get back out. You don't want to rehab a house, you're going to turn around and rent out. But that being said, that we can do anything from just cleaning it to do an owner finance up to a full, one of Tim's rehabs. So we can do so many different things. This is some of the things we're going to go over. If you have questions along the way, just let me know. I'd like to kind of stay on topic, and at the end we can kind of go wherever we want to go. First one is why rehab scares new investors. And then how do you walk the property? When you walk a property, that's why when I walk a property, I go to a house twice. I'm not wasting my time because I'm way too busy. We've got too many jobs and I look at way too many properties. So I look at a property the first time and I look at it and I figure out where it's at. Well, I do my research before I even go. I know if it's a rental area, if it's a nice sellable area, and then I walk it to see if I can get 2 or 3 different exit strategies out of that. So I know exactly what we're looking at when we walk the property, we make the offer, I walk it the day we're going to close, and that's all I'm on the property because I don't like wasting my time. You got to create a clear scope of work, so we're going to go over that. Then how to build your rehab budget. Rehab budget, like Tim touched a little bit, is different for every single person. I get asked all the time, hey, what would the rehab be on this house over here? It depends on who you are and what you're going to do with it. You know, I can give you a number, but I can give you a rehab number. Like somebody will tell me, oh, I want to fix it up like Tim fixes his up. Okay, great. I'll give them a number. It's $65,000 to fix that house up. Oh, that's too much. You know, this guy over here will do it for 25. Go hire him. Thank you. So the rehab or the rehab or the scope of work in the rehab budget is very important. It needs to be your taste. However you do your investment properties. We rehab properties for some people who every single investor I've ever worked with has some secret sauce that is their secret to sell a house and nobody else knows what they're doing. Only they can, know what they're doing. And then, but they'll say, we want to do it this way or this way. Whatever your way is, do it. Tim likes to fix his up over and above what's needed. Some people like to go in there and just rehab it so it looks good. They put the lipstick on there and they're done. Some people want to do owner finance. They go in there, they just clean it up, make sure it's livable, make sure there's no issues with structure or plumbing or anything like that, or then they do that. So whatever that is, you got to build your rehab budget. You got to kind of know what you're doing. And then the common rehab mistakes that a lot of them makes. You have to know what you are, what you're doing. Are you a rehab or you're a wholesaler? If you're a wholesaler, I'm just going to touch on wholesaling really quick. If you're a wholesaler, know your market on who you're sending properties to. Because when you're figuring out the rehab side of it, if you're going to look at a house and you're going to try to figure out, okay, I'm going to negotiate this house down. I can buy it for $105. I'm going to have $40,000 in repairs, and I'm going to turn around and try to, wholesale that house for $115, $120, whatever you want to. But if you take that to somebody who, like Tim, who does a lot of extra stuff in there, his rehab budget may be $65,000. He looks at that and he goes, there's no meat on the bone. I'm not messing with that. So then what's going to happen if you're a wholesaler, if you don't know the people that are on your buyer's list? A lot of people go, oh, make your buyer's list, make your buyer's list. You put everybody on there, you blast it out to everybody. What's going to happen is half those people are going to delete your email as soon as they see it because they know that, oh, your rehab costs are always too low. But if you split that rehab or that buyer's list up, where, hey, this is a class A rehab or class B rehab or renter, or landlord, whatever you want to call it, then you can give them different rehab numbers. Because if you're going to rehab it for a rental, then of course it's going to be less than actually doing something on, to sell it on the market. Owner finance is completely different. If you're going to wholesale, if you're going to buy it whole, you just kind of have to know your exit strategy. The more of those you can hit, much better. Much easier it is to send out to all your different lists. But if you do have your buyers list, you're going to wholesale to. Gear that email up for that list. don't send a blanket to everybody, cause there's gotta be, how many emails do we get, we just delete? There's gotta be 20, 30 emails a day we just delete, because we know that people don't know what they're doing.
Is that all?
Yeah.
I have a whole lot more than that.
I see it, I just pass by it. But they, cause if, I'm not gonna waste my time. Time is the only thing we all have the same of, and I'm way too busy. So, if somebody's gonna send me deals that, it's only a $15,000 rehab, you're out of your mind, cause it needs a roof and an AC, so you gotta know who you're going to sell or who you're gonna market it to, in order to build your rehab numbers and what you're gonna do with rehab numbers. And that's why I always put this, cause I have everybody asking me what the rehab numbers are, which I already touched on. That, you can't give rehab numbers unless I know what you're going to do with the house. If I'm gonna go look at a house, I say, okay, what are you gonna look at this house so I can give you a rehab number? Well, I don't know. What am I supposed to do with that? It's just, and they go, well, can you give me a number for like, if I'm gonna wholesale it, if I'm gonna, rent it, if I'm gonna rehab? No, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna spend, a day trying to come up with numbers for you. I'll teach you how to do it, and we do that. If you're a member of the group, I should need to bring that up too. If you're a member of the group, I will drop what I'm doing to go look at a house for you that you're looking at buying. Hopefully it's more of a serious thing. I'm not gonna just go look at leads. We've looked at a few houses together, but if I'm dropping what I'm doing to go look at houses for you, and we're on our 12th, 15th house that we've looked at and we haven't done anything, we might sit down and have a talk. When Tim touched on a little bit earlier, the people who, if you want to rehab and you haven't rehabbed yet, you've got to jump in and do it. And the best thing to do is I paid Ron LeGrand, what we paying, $27,000? $25,000 for their course. Did nothing for us. But we learned more from this class or this group back in early 2000s than we ever did from paying from Ron LeGrand's course. So the best thing you can do if you want to jump into rehab, if you're going to wholesale. It doesn't matter if you're wholesaling or rehabbing, jump in with somebody who knows what they're doing. Because instead of sitting here and trying to learn and educate yourself and everything else, which is fantastic, I'm always all about educating. But if you're going to want to do the business, find somebody who knows. I know that Tim will partner on most any deal. If it's a wholesale deal, talk to Tim and partner on a wholesale deal. You're better off, if you're gonna make 10 grand on a wholesale deal, you're gonna split 50-50, that costs you $5,000, but it may be $5,000 you didn't have before. So hop in and do that. You're making money while you're learning. If you're gonna rehab a house, do the same thing with the rehab. Jump into it and just do it, because if you're waiting for stuff to happen, that's when you're gonna lose to to competitors and stuff like that.
The biggest value, I think, to you coming into this group is not just the money, but it's the experience of doing something. That first deal is a little bit nerve-wracking, right? A little nervous about, am I doing it right, doing it wrong? Am I gonna get in trouble? Is all the I's dotted, T's crossed on the contract? The contract's a legal document. Is it important? Yes. Okay? But joint venture with somebody in here, so you get that first deal done, because that's the hardest one, is the first one, and that's far better than hoping to make 20 grand on a deal, but never getting it done. Okay? So the value is in getting that deal done, getting it under your belt.
I would rather make a little bit of money on something I partner with and learn something than making all the money on nothing. It just doesn't make sense. You gotta hop in. We did that. We messed around for a couple of years, sending out yellow letters and sending out all the, I don't even think you have yellow letters anymore. I'm old. But sending out all the information stuff, and then we did that same thing for the first couple of years, analysis paralysis, where we're checking everything, we're doing everything, we're dotting every I, we're doing everything we're told to do, we're following the scripts. We never got a deal. So then it was, I can't remember who we partnered with on the first one, but we got to do something.
Show of hands, how many have analysis paralysis? Can't get past analyzing the deal.
It's a humbling experience to admit it,
So you're gonna wipe that word out of your vocabulary today.
Because just doing one quick deal where you make 5 or 10 grand, you know, who cares if you don't make a lot of money? And like, I just got a, I wouldn't say severe argument, but an argument with a good friend of mine, because he is a stickler on the percentages. No, you gotta run the percentages, because it says, you know, blah, 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 blah. You gotta do the 70% minus repairs, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. If I give a property and I make 20 grand, I don't care. I mean, that's 20 grand in my pocket. And the way I do or I have my business set up is I use 0 of my own money. So my return on investment is infinite. So I'll use hard money, private money to purchase the house. I'll use friends and family to borrow the money for the rehab. So that way they make some money. I try to spread the money out as far as I can. So everybody makes a little bit of piece on it. And it's good for everybody.
You
But
haven't
then my
spread
return
any
on
my
investment.
way yet. You haven't spread any my way yet.
Well, I've imparted knowledge. I have taken your empty coffee cup. But I mean, so I think you kind of get it. Just jump in and do a deal, you know, and that's the best way to get started, because if not, you're going to be here a year later going, oh man, you know, listen to the same thing over and over again, you know, but just jump in and do it. And the costs are crazy for construction materials. And I am the type of contractor, and my wife yells, everybody knows, Adele's my wife, or she claims me. And she always yells at me because I'm the type of contractor, if I give you an estimate of $65,000, it's gonna be $65,000 unless you change something. If the materials change, if plywood, OSB, that can fluctuate from $14 to $22 overnight. You know, and if I'm buying 50 sheets of that, you know, I'm not gonna go to you and say, oh gee, you know, the lumber company raised the prices, so I need to bump it up $116. I don't do that, I don't have the time to do that. You know, so I just, what your estimate is, your estimate is. And sometimes it gets me, you know, sometimes it doesn't, whatever, but the cost. What I have done is an estimate, but my estimate now is only good for 30 days. So if after 30 days, if you know, we may revisit it, maybe the same, it may be different, you know, but, and if you're gonna wholesale properties, then you've got to remember this one. The end investor is always responsible for their own numbers. If you're gonna wholesale and you go, I think it's probably $15,000 to $20,000 worth of rehab, don't sit there again, do so much research and stuff, and if you're a wholesaler, I'll come and teach you how to look at the properties so you can get a rough idea, but you tell that end user, the rehabber you're selling to, or landlord, whoever it is, hey, I think it's 15 to 20 grand, you know, somewhere in there. So that way you're giving them a decent, you know, range. But it's their responsibility to take care of that. If they overlook something, then yeah, then it's their fault. It's not your fault. They come back and you say, hey, it was 25,000. Okay, it's 25 grand. And then why a lot of people won't do rehabs, and it's just, you know, not knowing the product. If they're underestimating the repairs, there's so many different factors that you can do, and they just scare them. What if we get in and we find this? What if there's 2 spots in this floor on this Weatherford house we're doing that we didn't know there was rot. That one front room we couldn't get to. We could have got to the handicap room we're doing, but then and I think they climbed under there, everything, you know, looked great when they were climbing around underneath there. Then we noticed that it was sagging a little bit, so we cut the floor out to take a look at it. Somebody previously had cut the beam out and made a repair there, but the repair they made wasn't sufficient enough, and so the floor joists were sagging. So we had to go in there and replace that and fix that. But you shouldn't be buying a house that's so tight that a $1,000 repair is gonna ruin the deal for you. If that's the way, you shouldn't have done the rehab, you should partner up with somebody.
Put a percentage aside, like 10% contingency,
I would suggest, especially for new rehabbers, unless you build a team, you gotta build a team of experienced people. You know, get Ryan to do it, so that way he's looking at the financial numbers, the financial side for you, to make sure that, you know, what he's looking at is good. You get, you know, all the, or any of the finances. But but yeah, always the less experience you have, the higher your contingency should be. But if you put too high of a contingency, you're never gonna buy a house. Yeah, so it's kind of a catch-22.
So on that topic, I mean, been doing this 26 years, I still use 20%. And it's because, a lot is because of what I do, right? Which I don't encourage you to start off over rehabbing like I do, but I also know that I'm gonna find problems. So I'm going to account for that. And you can put that in the rehab estimation tool I was telling you about earlier with the new website, the premium tools upgrade. It's built into it, you can just adjust the percentage. I wanna go back for a second on being tight, and Paul's comment about if it's $1,000, if you're $1,000 added expense, and that's gonna break the deal, your numbers are too tight. So what are you gonna do if that happens? If you run your numbers and you think you have $1,000, you can't afford an extra $1,000 in the budget if something happens. You gonna just walk away from the deal?
Lower your offer and explain it.
My thought is, stop and reassess everything. Reassess your comps, reassess the repair estimates, get with somebody that's got some experience, and see if you've done it right. Maybe you missed something. Check with Paul on the rehab estimate, see if there's anything that's not right. Get with somebody in here, me or somebody else that's got experience with pulling comps. Maybe you overlook something.
I guarantee you, if you call me up and you say, hey, we meet you at Black Rifle or Starbucks for a coffee and look over your numbers, boom, I'm there. I am a coffee addict.
Coffee, will
Yeah.
fill your soft spot.
Coffee will travel.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, use an agent in the area if you're working out of an area specific or a neighborhood. Because it's not always the cost, but it's the absorption of those properties, because things are staying on the market longer and you can't afford holding costs too long. It'll start eating into your margin of profit, so you need to try and get that moved. Tim does exceptional work on his rehab, so he makes them really pretty for resale, and people notice that. But you have to pay attention to the absorption rate. How fast are properties actually going off the market once put on, because holding can hurt you.
So Devin uses a fancy word, absorption rate.
Oh.
Everybody else knows it as days on market,
Thank you.
okay? So that's a
Fancier
part, and
side
I
of it.
teach this in my comps class, that's a part of your comps analysis. How many days on market? It's not about the price. Yes, the price is a part of it, but what did they do to the house that makes it so nice or not nice? And how did it equate to the number of days on market? You know, it might be drop dead gorgeous and it might be a premium price, but what good did it do if it took you a year to sell it?
Exactly.
Okay, that's eating up all your profit by doing that. You wanna be done and out of that house in 7 to 13 to 30 days at max.
And that's one of my pet peeves on rehabs, is investors, especially now, investors, realtors, they'll go around, oh, the market's terrible, the market's terrible. We're back to what the market used to be, because we all got really, really spoiled during the whole COVID area. You could sell a house for 3 times what it's worth, you know, and it's just, and then you could sell it in 4 days. You know, now all of a sudden we're back to where it is. It takes at least a month, month and a half, you know, to get a contract, takes a month to close it. We always used to use a 2-month selling period, in order to, you know, figure it out budget wise. And if we go over that, well then, I feel we did something wrong. Even in a normal market, slow market, whatever, you gotta know your market, you gotta, you know, adjust accordingly. But, our idea when we buy a house and rehab and sell it is Adele will look at all of the comps, well not the comps, but all of the listings in that area within about a mile or two radius that if she was gonna buy that house, she wants to see what's around it. And then we always fix ours up a little bit nicer than everybody else. We do something different to it. We put USB ports in the kitchen. We do under cabinet lighting, which for me it's cheap to do a lot of that stuff, so it's a little different. But we'll fancy up the master bathroom kitchen cells. They don't care what guys think, you know, when you buy a house, it's all. Every time I go in a remodel or a build him a house or something, the guy doesn't care. He wants to know how much it's going to cost him. The women want to know what's going in, if it's pretty, if it's not, what color. I don't know. But so you got to know what it's around, and then find little things. Look, you know, go to Lowe's or go to something and find little things you can throw in just to give yourself that little edge. If what you're going to do is the same thing as the next 6 houses around you for sale, your house is going to be forgettable. Somebody's going to remember a house, and it's always a kid who goes, "Oh, remember those toys in that one bedroom? I like that house." Or the husband, you know, saying, "Oh, yeah, it comes with a free TV. Yeah, I'll take that house." You
With
know,
a red front door.
Or colored front. I don't know how Tim does it. Tim colors his front doors, and if everybody explains how great the front door looks, and what about what I did in the rest of the house? But they love the front door. But anyway, so I mean, I think that's a huge thing that we do is we do a little bit nicer than something else, and we always put something in there that's memorable. You know,
Cherry bark red is a signature of mine.
Yes.
I gave it.
I wasn't going to tell anybody the color because it was proprietary, but
I know.
No, I want you're welcome to use it. So I've in all the houses I've rehabbed, only 2 have not been that color.
they took longer to sell too.
One was Rocky Ridge because we had that $5,000
big
steel
iron doors,
double-wide
beautiful.
door.
Oh,
Beautiful.
don't replace
$5,000. And the other one was because I got talked into doing a black door because the trim was black on this house. I didn't want to do it. It was okay, but it still sold.
In my opinion only, anybody that's gonna do black doors, black
Trim.
roof are idiots in Texas. But that's just my opinion, because you do a black roof, it might look pretty and everything else or whatever, or bougie or whatever you wanna call it. That attic gets stinking hot because I have to climb in there and do stuff. And it just absorbs all that dang heat. So then the same thing with windows. It's popular to use the black frame windows right now. The frame will heat up. If it's black on the outside, white on the inside, the plastic heats up at different rates, and so your frames are always moving. And they go, "Oh, why did the seal break on the window?"
That's good to know. Thank you.
There's a lot of that stuff that's that's out there. But anyway, so hired bad contractors, there is just like everything. There's bad everybody. I don't care what what thing you want to go into. There are bad contractors out there. We go in, we help people that have, a contractor took off on me, took all the money, and we don't know what to do. Do not base your experience, or do not base your performance off of experience. Because if you had a bad experience with a contractor, you're going to treat all those other good contractors after them like that bad contractor. You're not going to get any work done. You got to find. If I come to the job site, I'll walk the job site with you. If you don't like me, don't hire me. You've got to like the people who you work with, and if you don't hire them. But and there are bad contractors out there. And then the surprise expenses. We bought a house by Ridgemar Golf Course? The one that's in what is that? In between 377 and Roof Snow, south of the freeway, whatever that golf course is. We bought a 2-story house there, beautiful house. We found an excellent deal on it. I think we're gonna make, I don't know, 50, 60 grand on it, something like that. But then when we started doing the foundation work, my foundation guy called me and goes, "Hey, there's a bunch of bees around. My guys aren't gonna work around bees. We're taking off. You need to take care of that." And you're in the middle of the dig, So then I went over there to stay there, went over there to look at it and everything else. And there was a bunch of bees swarming around it. And yeah, you're right. You're not just being a sissy. You can't. There's a lot of construction babysitting. But in real estate, there's a lot of babysitting too. So anyway, so then I called a pest control guy to come out and take a look at it. He came and looked at it and he goes, "There's nothing I can do." He said, "That is a hive that's inside your house." And he said, "And I can't touch it. I can kill it, but it is illegal to kill honeybees."
Yes.
So, and this is a huge honeybee hive. So then I had to find somebody, I didn't even know who to
Who
call,
remove them.
who would come in there and they'd remove all the honeybees, and then they find the queens or whatever they had to do. I think they removed, what was it, 480 pounds?
Wow.
Something like that, of
That's amazing.
of wax and beehive. They had gone underneath the, I don't know if you guys know what a skirt board is. So on a two-story house, you'll have your siding come up, there'll be a skirt board before your next story that comes up. They were climbing in there and then going in between the framing of the floor. And they had, I think it was 4 or 5 bays all the way
Nice.
back, there was these honeycombs in there. And, all I could say is sweet.
I had to do that a couple times in California. I don't know anybody here.
California's worse than here.
Do you, I know. Do you have people, because that happens frequently in real estate,
Yeah.
and you have to have them, professionally
Yeah,
removed?
if I did it
Then they
more,
have
then
to
I'd have a
clean.
name, but,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen very often to us on the stuff that we look into and stuff.
Okay,
Most of it's all wasp, you can kill a wasp, but you just can't kill honeybees.
no,
You
I
have
think I do that.
okay, thank you.
Cause this house was, when was this house, 20 years ago or something we did this? 15, 20
This
years
is
ago.
resources, you guys. This is how important it is to be in these meetings. Tim will know somebody that I won't know and won't be able to find. Paul will know somebody that he uses, that he trusts. So this is where you really pick up some nuggets.
And I've got
This is
two
what I use.
entirely separate lists of subcontractors. So we have 12 full-time guys that work for us, and, which I absolutely love, they're like my kids. But and they'll do anything for you. They write up, oh, Miss Adele, give her hugs and everything else. But and then she makes me buy them turkeys and stuff. But I said, come on, guys, you don't wanna hand them a turkey. But, where was I going with that? I don't know, oh, subs, but I have different lists of subs, that if I'm going to send them to a remodel or a rehab that they can rehab, yeah, I'll send them over there, I don't care, because I know them, but I don't know them enough. Then I have a select set of subcontractors that might be a little bit more expensive, but I know them, I trust them, I'll send them to my personal house without me being there, I know they're not gonna trash anything, I know they're gonna clean up after themselves. So if I'm sending them to a house that somebody's living there or a rental, then I have a different set of people. So it is very important to have your groups of people, especially in rehab. But that bee problem that we came to, I think it was like $4,600, I think it was, to remove all those bees, because you have to relocate the bees, and I don't know why some beekeeper guy couldn't just come get them and take them to his ranch, where he's getting where he's gonna get an ag exemption or something from it. But maybe he did, maybe he pockets $4,000, I don't know. But, so you are gonna have surprise expenses, permit issues. I don't care how expensive or how experienced somebody is. So I've been doing this for many, many years. I've been working with cities for many, many years. On Tim's house in Weatherford, I looked at that house and what we were gonna do to the house, it's extensive rehab. But then I went to Weatherford's city website and was reading it, when do you need a permit? Every city is different. And then I was looking on there and they said, yeah, electrical work, plumbing work, structural work, the major things. And then it specifically said fence. I said, okay, great, I need to get a permit for a fence, I'll do that when I need to do it. Didn't say anything about windows, anything like that. Then a code guy came over because somebody complained about the pool being messy or something like that before he even bought the place. So he came over and said, oh, you're doing windows. He said, you need a permit for windows. I'm sorry, sir, it doesn't say that on your website. And he goes, well, you need to look into, he said, it's a general remodeling permit because you are doing extensive stuff, but everything I'm doing here is cosmetic, and you can repair or replace damaged stuff without getting a permit. So if you're replacing plumbing, the plumbing broke, you can replace it without going and getting a city permit. Some of the things just money driven, like a water heater, you have to go get a permit for it. But so after I went in the office to talk to him, I talked to the lead permit technician, I talked to the chief of the whole planning and zoning, and I talked to the code enforcement guy, and I told him that this is crap because you guys didn't have it listed on there. And they said, well, that's just an overview. You could have gone into the application area and seen all the different applications, and it says general remodeling. But on that general remodeling, it doesn't say windows. it asks you what you're gonna do. So how should I have known that? You know, and so even if, Tim could have come unglued, you know, on me, because I should have known as a contractor, but, you know, what am I gonna do? Call the city and tell them everything I'm gonna do to the house on every single job I do? You know, I'm just gonna look it up at night when I get home and, okay, we don't need one, we're good. You know, but it delayed us 2 weeks. I think it took us 2 weeks to get permits from them because they're behind, because they're short staffed. You know, so permit issues are, and then what he told me, the city of Weatherford's fantastic to work with. I mean, they were very good, but it cost us 2 weeks worth of time. And then nobody can work, they shut it down, so you can't have any workers there or anything else. Tim can be there since he's the homeowner, you know, but, so it did cost us 2 weeks, and it cost him 2 weeks of holding costs. So, you know, those are kinda, and, you know, he could've come unglued on me for the contractor, cause I should've known better, blah, blah, blah. You know, I didn't get any coffee for those 2 weeks, which is.
I keep waiting to catch up for the lost 2 weeks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So just a little more detail on the code inspector that came out. Supposedly, somebody reported us for having a ring pool and a mosquito pool. The funny thing was, I had just drained it for another pool inspection and refilled it, not filled it, but put water back in it so it was nice and clear when the inspector walked in. And I'd already put mosquito dunks in it. That's what he wanted, is he wanted to see clear water. He was expecting to see green, but he didn't, and I already put 6 mosquito dunks in it, and so he couldn't harass us for having a green pool. So just,
Shut that down.
and I've been trying to keep it done that way, keep it clean. So just so you know, if you ever buy a house with a pool, you're gonna have to make sure you maintain.
And they do have, a lot of cities now have drones. So they, as
Yeah.
far as I understand the law,
Yeah.
they cannot walk on your property, they cannot walk through an open door unless they have a reason that something is unsafe. If something is unsafe, another reason is there was never a fence on the left side of that house. There was a deck there, but there was never a fence. And they said that because there's a pool, a kid could walk in there, fall in the pool, drown. Well, you beat the tar out of the parents for letting their kid out, you know, but we can't do that anymore, I guess, but they,
Even though there was never a fence there with the previous owner.
yeah.
Right.
So, but they, the point is they legally, they don't have a right, they're the same, laws as police officers. They don't have a right to go on the property unless they see something hazardous. So once they see something hazardous, they can just walk on the property and do whatever they wanna do, but. So anyway, so that's not the permit stuff. Over improving properties, if you do a crazy rehab and it's super, super nice in you know,
Moderate neighborhood.
yeah, moderate or low income neighborhood or something, you're gonna lose. You know, I mean, there's a difference between doing something a little bit nicer versus crazy nice, but, and then of course, running out of money mid-project. If you're gonna say, okay, I have 40 grand for the rehab, you better, and you borrow 40 grand from either the bank or from Ryan or whoever it is, make sure you have some cash or a family member or something like that, a little bit extra cash in case you need it. Cause if you fall into something, say you're still gonna make money, but you need another 10,000 to finish the job, you better have that figured out or a way or something like that. And so that way it doesn't.
Paul has routinely accused me of over rehabbing houses. What he just doesn't understand is I think it needs it. So it's
And-
not over rehab, it's just, I have a different quality expectation. And, there's no way I'm gonna break that.
And there's nothing wrong with that, that's personal preference. You know, if somebody, I'm of the mentality, I wanna keep money in your guys' pockets, because if I keep money in your guys' pockets, you're gonna call me in the next house. I never have to advertise, we come here just cause I like teaching and I like people and stuff like that, but we don't advertise to advertise. Well, we just now got a website, cause the banks have been yelling at me so when I go do a barn door, build a house for somebody, I have to go to the bank and get signed on the bank, they do all my background checks and all that kind of stuff. And every single bank since mid-90s, 2000s, they're telling us we need a website. I don't care, that's not how I do my business. I do my business by word of mouth, and if I don't like it, I don't do your job. I mean, I'm just in a point of my life, I don't care. You know, there's plenty of other contractors, you know, you guys can use, but anyway, But if you run out of, make sure you have, some extra money set aside.
Paul, I wanted to ask you about, licensed contractors for such things as.
Good question. There are no licensed contractors in the state of Texas.
Not general, but I mean.
No, not general, there's licensed plumbers, there's licensed electricians,
Electrician,
there's no licensing for roofing.
right, no licensing for roofing.
There's, plumbing, electrical, and
HVAC.
mechanical.
And HVAC?
HVAC.
HVAC.
And those are the three licensing, there's only licensing. The Trek messed around for a while, and they tried to get in the whole licensing thing because it was a moneymaker. They don't know anything about construction, but they were gonna license the contractors, which I think is. No, they were gonna license contract going back in the mid-2000s, maybe it was the early teens. They had licensing for general contractors, and it's just stupid. Unless that facility, my daughter works for the, Texas Texas Office of Consumer Credit Counseling. So they take care of all the licensing, they work with TDLR and
Okay.
everybody else, so she's in that, a lot of that, and it's stupid that they don't license people. I mean, I'm all for government staying out of my dang business,
Yeah.
I'm of that 100%. But then on the safety of other people, there should be some kind of licensing by some entity that
Oversight.
knows what they're doing.
Oversight.
Not a realty company or not the Trek or anybody else, but that's just my personal belief, so.
Okay.
But if you can't find somebody, find somebody who knows what they're talking about, cause it's incredibly, if you're gonna get information from anybody, get a little bit of background on that person, and if they don't know anything, but they're sitting there spewing information cause they heard or they saw one deal that was like this or something, they're an idiot, I mean, it's just, you don't spout information that you hear from somebody else. Either look it up and make sure it's real, or by experience, that it's for real. I mean, that's just my belief on it. And then not having that solid access strategy. If you're gonna buy a rehab house and you have no clue what you're gonna do with it at the end, well, I might sell it, I might retail it, I might rent it. That's a dumb strategy to have. Go with a strategy. If you're gonna rehab it for a retail sale, rehab it for a retail sale, but don't rehab it for a rental and then try to sell a retail, because it's gonna sit on the market, it's not gonna look good, because it's gonna be worse than everything else around it. And then likewise, if you rehab it for a rental, and then you do it, or did I just do that? The other way around. If you rehab it for a retail sale, and then you wanna rent it out, you can do that, you're gonna lose money, because you just made it really nice, and you're gonna get, that being said, people who do landlord, and Tim's done a couple of these, where you fix up the rentals really nice, you're gonna get a lot better renter in there, and they're gonna take care of the property. So there is a catch-22.
Depending on the neighborhood.
Definitely depending on the neighborhood. When you walk the property, I honestly don't know how to explain it without a house being there. There are so many things to look at. I would look at all of these. One big thing is look it up on the city, whatever city they're in. If it's county, you don't have to worry about it, but if it's city of Weatherford, call the city or look it up to see if there's any permit issues with it or something, or citations. And it'll tell you if there's citations on everything else. Because if you buy that house, that citation goes with the house, not with the person. So,
How
but
do you
look,
find that? I'm sorry.
Pardon?
How do you find that?
You can go to the city's website. A lot of them will have a search feature of properties where you can search a property. It'll tell you if there's a current permit, if there's any citations, things like that. If you go look at
Red flag.
Tim's, it'll show the two permits we have, the fence permit and then the rehab permit. Foundation, and this is another big deal. If you're gonna rehab, even if you're going to wholesale, learn this stuff. Because people are gonna ask you, the more informed you are as a wholesaler, the better wholesaler you're gonna be. There's some wholesalers that we deal with, I've trained them what I'm looking for, so when they call me and they say, hey, I got a great deal for you, I'm gonna sell to you for 105, 40 grand rehab money, I know that his numbers are good. I'm still gonna check them, but I'm not gonna say, oh, you're wasting my time, whatever. But have these people in your back pocket. Talk to a foundation company. Have them either I'll walk the property with you and show you how to do it, or you call the foundation company and you, hey, Mr. Seller, you know, I need to have my people over. We'll try to do it all in one day between 8 and noon, so it's least on their issue. But then they can come over and the foundation guy can show you how to do it. That being said, you get 10 foundation guys, you're gonna get 10 different, you know, ideas. This one says 4 piers, this one says 40 piers. What's the difference? This guy with 40 piers, he's got a car payment coming up. You know, so there's a lot of different, so you gotta have people you trust. Drainage, exterior, HVAC, I mean, all that kind of stuff. If you look at the HVAC and you're not sure what you're looking at, but hey, it's clean, I can wipe any old HVAC down and clean it up. You know, so, I mean, it just depends upon what you know. If you're not sure about it and you're wholesaling, just say, yeah, I don't know, you need to do your own due diligence on the HVAC, because I don't know, I'm not a technician. But just be upfront with people.
Well, the HVAC as well, sometimes you gotta look not only at the units, but the venting.
The
right?
ductwork,
found several
I shouldn't say
disconnected.
this, but I don't look at the ducting myself. I don't climb up in the attic and look at it myself because I don't care. Because if rats chew through it and stuff like that,
Right.
it's fairly cheap fix to fix some of that. If you call an HVAC company, they come do it. Oh, it says, you know, $3,000. I can have my guy fix it for $300.
Okay,
You know,
that's
so
good to recall.
yeah, so it's kind of different. But,
Okay.
so that's another port that you got to know where you're at and what your capabilities are. I take a lot more risk because I can fix a lot more things and stuff, and I can overlook it. That's why I'll go look at a house. I'll give you an offer right now because I'm in the belief that if I talk to that person and I come up with a price, or I don't come up with a price, okay, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna get all my people, or I'm gonna look at this. There's gonna be 6 people behind me that they're talking to. I don't want them to talk to those 6 people. I want them to talk to me. And so I'll buy the house right here for this amount if you're willing to do it, and then we'll make any negotiations if we find something or whatever. That's why I will never do auction period, just because the way I look at a house. I inspect it the day I'm looking at it, because I'm not gonna give that person
Chance to use your.
a chance to use somebody else or give them the chance to, you know, back out or anything like that. I wanna make a deal, I wanna help their situation, because if I can help their situation, they'll choose me over the next 10 guys, even if I'm cheaper than the other guys, and it's happened to us. You've gotta care about the people you're talking to if you're talking to the homeowner. If it's going through a realtor, it's different, but, you know, if you're talking to a homeowner, you gotta be out there and help people. I mean, I'm of the belief, you know, we're on this earth for one thing, and that's to help each other, and if we're not helping each other, then I don't think we're gonna be looked, you know, nicely upon. So, you know, I just feel that you gotta take care of everybody, no matter what their situation, and have heart for them, because you never know what they're going through, you know.
You can run into them again.
Yeah, or run into them again, which has happened to me. She yells at me all the time. I can't go anywhere without somebody knowing me, or somebody stopping, hey, Paul, and she'll tell me, can you quit talking to me? But,
Back up, please. 2 comments here. One is, we do a property walkthrough training event specifically for this kind of thing right here Paul's been talking about. If you haven't been to the property walkthroughs, you really need to. And I wanna remind everybody that members of this group will do the property walkthrough for you if you're okay with us using it for training. But if you, especially if you wanna wholesale that deal, you may be able to sell it on the spot. We'll market and promote it for you, and we'll do the training of these different things. And for those of you that have been to the walkthroughs, have they been beneficial to you? Okay.
and I don't know why we don't have, I don't know how many members there are, but I don't know, I mean, there'll be different people here, depends on what we're talking about every month. I don't know why we don't have 100 or 150 people there. You know, cause there's 200 people who don't do anything. They haven't bought a house, they're always looking, well, I don't know enough. If you're not getting out there and learning, you're never gonna know enough. But these property walkthroughs, and we'll stay there, we're at the last one, 3-4 hours or
Oh,
so.
at least 3.
You know, and then Tim will take some people to walk through, I'll take some people to walk through and explain what I'm looking at and everything else. Tim will walk through and with the, that cost estimator program.
Yep.
And he'll walk through to that, and him and I won't talk about prices, but then after he gets done, we're only $3,000-4,000 off. And this was a $62,000 walkthrough you did, I think. I think you came up with 65, and I came up with 62.
On Weatherford?
No. On,
Burleson, right?
Burleson.
Oh,
Burleson.
Yeah.
And I came up with more.
Yeah, because it depends upon who's looking at and what your exit strategy is.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're looking at buying that house or making that offer, you have to keep that in mind too.
That was a rehab.
You know, if you,
Resale.
yeah, if I'm doing it because I wanna make money,
Yeah.
then I'm not gonna fix up that house as much because I need to get more houses at a lower profit per house in order to make money. If you're going to do it where, I don't wanna say it's a hobby, but if you're gonna do 2-3 homes a year, you're looking at making a little bit higher profit, do your numbers accordingly. But it does, to me, it doesn't matter. If you're talking in front of a seller, you negotiate that for the best you can negotiate for. If you leave money on the table, if they leave money on the table, that's your guys' own fault. You know, but you get the property as inexpensive as you can while you're still helping out the other person. And then once you get that price negotiated, then you can figure out what you're gonna do with the house. Hey, this price is, you know, they won't let it go. I'm looking at a house right now. I'm looking at buying 2 houses a month. So if you guys come up with houses, well, Tim probably. But anyway, so I put it on the website. And then, you know, we're gonna do some buy and holds, we're gonna do some more rehabs. We're mainly rehabs,
Okay,
but anyway, so.
one more thing. Foundation repair. We had this happen. My very, 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 very first Weatherford house that I ever bought, when I first started buying houses. Tenant moved out after many years, just totally trashed the place, so I decided to rehab it and sell it. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Paul, remember which one I'm talking about? Throckmorton?
I remember.
Oh,
Yeah,
Throckmorton.
you were there.
That was it.
So while we had it stripped down to parade rest, there was a dining room that looked like it might have been a little low, but there was no cracks on corners of windows and doors and stuff. There were some cracks in the brick, but that's pretty standard in Texas. So I decided, well, let's go get foundation inspection. It's stripped down to parade rest, had a lot of time, now would be the time to do it if it needed it. I had 4 estimates. And those 4 were so far from one another. Normally, I don't do that many, because it almost gets confusing at some point when you have too many. But I kid you not, I had one guy, I think, say it was either 2 or 4, all the way up to 33. Now, 33, I'm expecting, you know, craters in the foundation, you know, slab, you know, brick falling off the house.
Big chili bowl.
You know, I mean, but I had none of that, okay? I didn't even think I really needed to do it, but I thought, I'll just double check. So, I had one guy, I'm telling you this just because you gotta be careful. One of these guys, it was referred to me, almost as soon as he got out of his truck and introduced himself. He looked like a bum to start with. Started talking about his drug and alcohol addiction days and stripper bars. Now, what kind of a way is that to first meet a customer and start talking?
You're nicer than I am. I told him to get back in his truck and leave.
So I'm telling you this stuff, because this is real stuff. This isn't, you know.
It happens.
And the guy that referred me to this guy he must have told him about me. I mean, all the years in the business and stuff, I'm assuming. But anyhow, so that was an instant turn off. So then I went back to 2 more people that I've done business with in the past, and they were so far off track with everybody, and there was no evidence in the house to me to say what they were estimating was correct. So what I do, I said, you're all fired, and I called an engineer to have an engineer inspection done, okay? Guess what the engineer said?
Nothing.
I'm good, nothing's needed.
Yeah.
Everything was in, range and spec.
But some people won't spend that $500 to $800 for an engineer because they're trying to save that $500 or $800. But instead they'll spend $6,000 because somebody talked them into doing foundation.
So don't just go get one foundation inspection. That's the point of this whole thing. And I'm of the opinion now, just go straight to if you bought the house,
Yeah.
go straight to the engineer's report, you know, get the inspection done and it's $500 or $600 well spent, because you can either use it to get the foundation repaired, or use it when you're selling the house to show it's been inspected and it's good.
Right. I have one point for that. Also, keep in mind, when you do get it, the engineer is the best option, because all these guys are out there trying to make money off you. So, but after that, if you do decide there are places, maybe one side of the house that needs foundation work, your warranty that you're gonna pass on to the new buyer if you're selling it or keeping it is only for that work done. They're not warrantying over here.
Yeah, they just
Keep
warranty
in
their
mind,
own.
yeah, and another thing is be careful of water pipes. They tend to damage
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff,
and
a lot of
can,
different
a lot of
instances and
disclosures,
stuff.
your water system when they start moving the house around, so it has a lot of bearing.
Yeah, but
Have you
it's,
had
there's,
experience with that?
they're all over the place. I mean, we bought houses that remember that one we bought in, North Richmond Hills, the laundry room and bathroom were 7 inches down.
No.
So, I mean, you're stumbling in there. We jacked it up, fixed that was a pier and beam. You guys rest my pier and beam. So it's a lot easier on the, I don't know how the drainage actually worked, but the pipe still worked and everything else while it was down there. When we lifted it up, of course, it was pulled apart. The guy can get underneath there and fix it all.
Get it all, yeah.
It was an easier fix, so when I'm walking through there, you know. So if you're looking at houses, if you're going to, wholesale or rehab, if you're gonna rehab, I'll show you how to kind of go through there. I look through there, try to see the foundation. I'll overestimate the foundation if it needs foundation work. Cause if I think it's gonna need $5,000, I'll put $7,000 down for, foundation work, just to make sure I'm covered. You know, but then the first thing I do is I go, get an engineer's report. We did that on Weatherford, because you have to have an engineer's report anyway. If you do foundation work and you try to sell that house and they ask you, has there been foundation work done? And you say no, you can be sued for that. You know, so I always like having a foundation report anyway. Yeah, but anyways, that's that. But nothing is ever, I don't know if I have ever done, and we have literally done hundreds of homes in Texas, and I don't think we've ever come across a house where there was so many unknown repairs that it made the deal not worth it anymore. We've had some that, did we have one?
No, I have one that we had a very unexpected thing when we found out after we had done a lot of repair that the trunk line, the sewer trunk line was,
Oh yeah, that's that big one in Meadowbrook we bought.
yeah.
So this was a multi-level one in Meadowbrook, beautiful home, had pecan wood floors and everything else. And then, it had cast iron, drain pipes, and it was all, rot out. And so instead of tearing up all those beautiful pecan floors, but it wasn't, the foundation wasn't messed up or anything like that, it was just they were rotten out. And then when it hooked up to the city up at the road, the city's hookup was about 8 inches higher than our line, our trunk line was. And that's why it was the city's fault. But whoever built the house, built it like that, I think the city raised their stuff. So then instead,
So you're gonna,
yeah, so
explain
instead,
how
I mean,
you
I've got
turn
different ways I
disaster
can do to
into a
save
good
money.
thing.
I called, the plumbers came in and I had plumbers look at it, scope it and everything else. The plumber said, oh, it's gonna cost, one guy said 18,000, one guy said 26,000, something like that, to dig all, they were gonna cut it and tunnel and dig all this other stuff. Absolutely not, get out of here. And so then I had called my foundation buddy up and I said, hey, I need you to come over here, bring your guys over here, pop some holes in here for me every 6 feet. So I had them come do it, which is a lot cheaper. And then they popped the holes in there. Then I had the plumber back in and repaired from hole to hole for me. Did it that way, and I think we did it for $6,000. So I mean, there's so many different ways you could do stuff.
Well, do you ever abandon, the foundation, say the plumbing is in the foundation and it's cement, do you ever go up and over, bring the water in?
Not with, you can't with drains, but with the water supply. Are you talking about the water supply? Yeah.
Water supply.
Yeah, the water supply, that's the easiest way
Not
to
the
do it.
drainage, the
Yeah,
water
if you have a break underneath your foundation, it depends upon what part of the job we're in or where we find it. If I can easily pop a hole through the slab and repair it, I'll do that because that's the cheapest.
Okay.
But if we come across a house that somebody's living in, a house that has too many issues, then yeah, we run PEX up in the attic and then down, and then we insulate it all and everything else.
A lot of
We-
plumbers do the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we abandon everything underneath.
I've done that.
So, and a lot of plumbers will talk you into doing everything while they're up there. If there's a leak on this side of the house to this bathroom, you can just go this bathroom up and over and then down and fix it. You don't have to do the whole entire thing. But, I mean, it just depends on what they're gonna sell you. The scope of work, I think, do we go quicker? Do we go quicker? We good?
We're good.
Scope of work, investors don't know what they want, especially the new investors. Because I go into a lot of houses, like I was saying earlier, no, what do you wanna do with the house? Oh, I don't know. I just need to know what the repairs are. And it's just kind of I don't know how to help you. If you don't know your exit strategy, I really don't know how to help you. Because I will not sit there and do 3 or 4 different, I'll give you 3 or 4 different ranges off hand, but if you don't know what you're doing with an exit strategy, I should say. I don't care if people don't know how to do it, because I'll teach somebody till I'm blue in the face, and if they don't understand it, it's gotta be me not explaining it correctly, and I'll try to explain it a different way. But you gotta know what you want, you gotta know your exit strategy. Material expectations, a lot of times we'll sit there and, say, okay, I want vinyl plank flooring. Okay, I'll give you a quote for vinyl plank flooring. All of our estimates, when we give you an estimate, it's all line item estimates. And it'll say vinyl floor, it'll say a budget of $250 a foot for the vinyl floor. And then you have all the expenses and prep and everything else in there. Then some investors, when we're doing their house, they'll go to, I send everybody to, I think very highly of floor decor. And I'll send them to floor decor, work with my people that I know there, and they'll come out with a $6 a foot vinyl plank. That's not in the budget, right? That's $350 more. What's that?
We're talking about me.
Oh. So for the short guy in the back of the room. But yeah, I mean, and if that's what it is, if they, yeah, but I like this one, it fits it, with, the Weatherford house, we're trying to keep the period, what do you call it, period correct, period, whatever it's called. So it's a better way, we look it up, it's okay, yeah, this is this much more. So if you wanna spend this much more, it's not gonna make the house worth anymore, it's still vinyl plank. But it might sell the house quicker, it might look better, things like that. So, I mean, you gotta debate if it's worth extra $1,800 or whatever it was for the different flooring, but you've gotta know what the material expectations are at least. Quality standards, same thing. Rental quality, don't tell me you want a rental quality and then we go and do a rental quality. And you go, well, yeah, this isn't very nice, or Paul doesn't do very good work, or you told me rental quality and I write that stuff down, it's on the estimate. So in case I hear somebody else come around, yeah, you did this house for this person, and they say the quality wasn't there. Oh, really? Well, that really bothers me, because I believe in this world, if your name means nothing, you mean nothing. You better say what you mean and mean what you say. So then I'll go back and look at their invoices and stuff, and if it says on there, I have a thing on top, consultation, and then I do it with Tim all the time too, where we list out everything I'm expecting you to buy. They're the lights, for instance. The lights and fans, they vary so much. And if I say, if I'm gonna do a rental grade, I'll throw a $70 or $80 fan in there. If I'm doing a rehab, like this rehab we're gonna be doing on this other house, I'll probably do an $80, $90 fan. I'm not gonna do a great fan, but somebody may want a $300 fan. So but everything's in that description. So just kind of know what your quality is.
How do you delineate like baseboard? Like rental baseboard could be here, but resale
Depends upon what
baseboard.
grade you want. I mean, we'll go by that on grade. If some, normally on rentals, they wouldn't want us to replace all the baseboards on rentals
Right,
unless they're ruined.
right.
If some of them are ruined, we just replace like with like, because you're doing a rental grade, you're not doing an
Right.
upgrade.
Thank
If
you.
we're doing an upgrade, retail house, like this, Bowie house, it had, I think, 3 or 4 different baseboards in there, so we yanked them all out, and we're gonna do the same style baseboard throughout the whole thing. We're doing 2 different baseboards on size depending upon if it's the living area and master bedroom. We'll do a 1x6 baseboard, so it gives it that little bit of more of a class, taller, square off feeling, so it looks more period appropriate, maybe that's the word. But then in the secondary bedrooms, we're gonna do 1x4, we're not gonna go through the expensive 1x6. So, so it just depends, but all that is on the list. And if you ever get it from any contractor, go through that list and ask, and then look and see if there's any questions you have on that list. make notes on it. Tim and I still do this after 20 years. I'll send him the invoice, and then he'll sit there and make notes on the invoice when he goes through it. He'll take me out for coffee, and then we'll sit down and we'll go over that, and I'll make my notes and everything else, and I go change it.
If we go out and we buy it together, then he's assured to get the full cut.
The full cut, yeah. I check it now. I tell you, he thought that was so great. He went and told Michelle. He went and told all the guys knew it. All guys were handing me empty coffee cups for like 2 weeks. They just thought that was the funniest thing ever.
You started.
Room by room to repair list. If you're working with a new contractor, that's somebody you haven't worked with, they don't know what your tastes are, go room by room. We just did this still on the Weatherford house. We walked room by room and said, okay, in this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do 1x4 baseboards in here, 1x6 baseboards. You need to get this light for this room. And so he makes his list he needs, I make my list I need, I put big blue tape on the wall and I write on there, 1x6 baseboards, carpet, whatever we're gonna do that room. So that way all my workers know what we're doing in each individual room. So, you go. Like I
That's
said,
really,
a lot of it is babysitting.
that's really important on old houses.
Old house is extremely important.
Because that's a lot of years, in this case, 101 years of people screwing it up and doing
Sure.
different
And
things.
just little additions and stuff.
in the room.
So, that's my pet peeve. If you're gonna do an addition, don't make it look like an addition. And if you do, I use the word idiot a lot, but, I mean, if you're gonna make it look like an addition, you're not a good contractor. You're a handyman. You know, a good contractor's gonna go in there and make it all look like the same house. And Michelle had a fantastic idea. When you walk in, and when we do the next walkthrough on that house, oh, that reminds me, we could do a walkthrough on that one I'm getting if you want.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Well, you didn't suggest it, and I was waiting for my mentor to say something.
Where is it?
The house is, and if somebody's looking for a rental property or something, I'll sell it, you know, evidently I'll sell it before I close. It's at, I don't do wholesales, I don't have patience for wholesales.
Okay.
I deal with homeowners and buy directly from a homeowner, but I don't wholesale or anything like that. So I don't know that part of the game, I don't do owner finance.
This is the buyer asking, where is it?
Yeah, so it's on the northwest side of 35 and 20. Nice little pocket of, I can send you the address, text me or something, I'll send you the address. Or ask me later.
You'll know as soon as he puts it on the website. The
As
system's
soon as it's on the
everything.
website. Yeah. Until then,
Good point, Tim.
my helper, you know, she just.
Yeah.
So yeah, those room by room repair lists are fantastic. If you're doing up a estimate, I like the estimate, when I'm doing estimates, I like doing baseboards throughout the whole entire house, so there would be a line item, whole entire house.
Right.
But when we're walking through, we walk through, and I don't care if you're a wholesaler, we'll do the same thing for a wholesaler, because I want you to know what it is in order to do a rehab, so that way you're just a better wholesaler that way. So whoever you're trying to sell the property to. If you're gonna wholesale houses, I want you to wholesale as many houses as you can. If you throw a couple my way, yeah, that'd be great. If you send 3 my way and 2 Tim's way, that's even better.
So just a note on the wholesaler piece of this. I can't tell you how many emails I get from wholesalers
Yeah.
that say, you know, a house is built in 1950, only needs 20 grand repairs.
Yeah, it's just.
So that's your first clue right there.
They don't know what they're doing.
They probably watched the YouTube video yesterday and,
Yeah.
you know, so this is important stuff. What Paul's saying is
And then
true.
even with.
You need to learn how to estimate repairs,
Yeah.
and that's gonna make you a better.
Better wholesaler. The better wholesaler you are, the better stuff the more you're gonna sell, the more money you're gonna make. And not only that, to me, at the end of the day, you need to be a good person.
Yeah.
You know, if you sell a lot of homes, there's a company I can name names. They sell a lot of homes. They are absolutely trash company. The people that work there are trash. You know, saying that, we bought a couple of houses through them because I looked at it, I thought, okay, fine, I'll give you your $5,000 non-refundable. You know, because I knew I was going to buy the house anyway.
Right.
But I just honestly believe in my heart, you gotta be a good person at the end of the day, and I gotta be able to put my head on the pillow and actually go to sleep, you know, so.
I had an experience as an agent, sold a young couple moving into the state, a home that had been rehabbed by a very negligent rehabber. investor, and he literally put a brand new, electric panel on the wall, but it was, none of the wires were rewired, he said in the.
But that's
It's
not,
all
that's.
rewired and all new electric, new
Okay, so if they say it was rewired and it wasn't rewired, that's a
Don't
bad
believe a
thing.
word.
But it's okay to replace the panel, not all the wiring. That's
Well,
perfectly
but-
okay.
But I had an electrician as an inspector,
Uh-huh.
and he said, this is a disaster. It
Well,
was not.
I have a whole lot of things to say about inspectors.
I know, I bet you.
Off camera.
Yeah.
Because don't tell me that, you know, somebody who used to be an HVAC guy, used to be an inspector, or I mean, a electrician, used to be a plumber or something like that, you go to Trek, you take a little test, and all of a sudden, you have the power of an inspector.
Yeah.
I sit down 4 or 5 times a month maybe, with sellers and these stupid inspection lists that they don't have a clue what they're doing, they don't know what they're writing down. Half that stuff is grandfathered in, but the Trek list, or the Trek inspection list, has no space for grandfathered. It's meets today's current standards, or it doesn't meet today's current standards.
Right.
So it's faulty. Then all of a sudden the buyers go, this house is falling apart. No, it's not. It's a house that was built in the 60s. You know, and it hasn't burned down yet. People go crazy, especially realtors, on Federal Pacific panels. There's been, I don't know how many of you know about the Federal Pacific panel, but it's a certain brand of panel that they will catch fire. There's been 1% of them maybe that caught fire. I mean, there's hardly any of them that catch fire. When they do catch fire, it's because somebody came in and put a wrong breaker in there, and that breaker overheated the box, and that's what caught the fire. The panel didn't actually catch the fire or cause the fire. So there's some, but these inspectors will go in there and they think but they're not liable for anything. They will kill your sale. I mean, I've got so many things to say about these inspectors. And then, but the realtors will, and no offense, but the realtors will not do anything about these inspectors, because if they say something and that inspector, it just happens to look at their next deal, you know they're gonna kill their next deal for them, because they're mad because you turned it in. You know, so it's just, these inspectors is just, I've got a bunch of friends of mine that do investment, or they purchase rehab homes, they do rentals. They will never use an investor. They call me and they have me come and inspect the property, and I'll give them, they'll pay me, and I'll do an inspection report for them, everything else, all
Well,
the
you
stuff that I
might just have another job.
No, I don't want to. I work probably, what do I work, 70 to 85 hours a week. So, you know, I'm Monday through Friday, or Monday through Saturday, and I get to see her for maybe, we go to church in the morning, and I see her for maybe 4 or 5 hours, which is good for her.
Yeah.
She can eat that week, but.
But Paul, you have to keep in mind that in real estate agents, no matter how long they've been in the industry, you can't know all those industries. You cannot be
No, you can't.
take it upon yourself. So we do.
Because that's not what you do. So you
that-
have to rely upon
We
those
do.
inspection reports. But what I disagree
watch
with
my
is realtors that
inspection.
overlook a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
They'll overlook a bad inspector because they, and I get it, I do the same thing probably. They'll overlook a bad inspector because they don't want it to affect future sales, and I get it. Because if you turn that inspector in and say, hey, this guy's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, and he gets written up for it, he knows exactly what deal you're talking about. And then if he shows up to another property that you're selling,
Yeah.
he go, oh, this person was a jerk, I'm gonna find every single thing I possibly can, and they could kill the deal for you. So I understand the whole aspects of everything else. Inspectors do a good role
Yeah, they
in
have.
what they're doing. There's good inspectors, there's bad inspectors, just like contractors, you know, but anyway, that's a whole nother.
So, not to keep dragging the topic of
Yeah.
inspections out, but let me just tell you, my opinion, and I think is probably one of my secret tips maybe, is home inspections are important to me, because when I do, the way I rehab, I want quality end product. Well, isn't home inspection part of that quality?
Yes.
So, when Paul inspects and puts his guys to work and doing a lot of stuff, I inspect, I do a lot of things, but I'm trying to eliminate anything that a home inspector can identify on a report that's gonna allow the buyer or invite the buyer to start trying to nickel and dime me to death. I don't like that. I've already put more money in that house than I should have. I do not like people trying to take it from me. So I do the best I can to try and prevent that inspector from identifying those things that's gonna cause them to come back and say, I wanna reduce the price, or I want these things fixed. I can't tell you how long it's been since I've had any major home inspections.
And it depends upon your reputation. So
Yeah.
when I went into the city of Weatherford, I haven't done anything with the city of Weatherford permitting or planning and zoning in several years. So I went in there, I introduced myself, told them what we're doing, told them the house, you guys have any issues with it, told them what happened, everything else. I knew the chief planning and zoning officer, cause he just came down from Denton, and I just got done doing a deal over Denton. So I talked to him, I talked to the other people, I talked to the inspectors, and it's so vitally, people overlook networking in this business. People go, oh yeah, I network all the time. You know, but no, you don't, unless you're talking to everybody everywhere. You're not networking. I was wearing a rather, I don't know if that's a rude shirt yesterday or something, but I got this shirt that I got it just to make her mad. But it's a picture of a monkey with like a backwards hat, and it says, grumpy old bastard, approach with caution. And I love the shirt. But we were going and getting a prescription at Walmart, and a guy was walking behind me, cool old Irish guy, he comes up to me, and he tells me, oh, I love your shirt.
Yeah.
And so we start talking, and then I told him we start talking about fuel, diesel prices. I said, I'm a contractor, so I go through probably $700, $900 a week in diesel. And then so then we start talking, everything else. He wants us to build him a barn up in Paradise. And so you always have to network and talk.
I just met Chance here, and he's been here off and on, but I handle land deals and big ranches.
Mm-hmm.
I need surveying all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't put deals together without getting a survey.
Yeah,
Current
you have to.
survey acceptable to the
In
title.
fact, we need your number two so you can do the
Yeah.
survey. You do survey on all properties, right?
Well, I work for a company that does.
Okay, that does surveys.
Oh, yeah.
So I buy all my properties, I don't request them to do a survey or anything. If they have a survey within the last 2 years, I'll get that.
Yeah.
But, so we'll need to do surveys. Anyway, so yeah, you always got to network, got to talk to me. When the plumbing inspector came out, so I did push the issue a little bit on this Weatherford house because the plumbing wasn't correct. If something is broken and we're replacing or repairing, I should say use the word repairing, a pipe, I can repair that without getting a permit or without a licensed plumber. But when we start pulling apart this house, on a toilet flange, the flange goes down, it's supposed to go in a long sweep, not a 90. If it does a 90, it's gonna slow everything down, you're gonna have problems down the road. So we noticed that was how the plumbing was. So we replaced all that plumbing, put a new toilet flange on there, everything else, so that way everything's good. And I just knew that he was gonna give us some grief for that. And then it was Thursday, we're at lunch. And then I told my foreman there that the guy's supposed to come by, he didn't call me, I don't know what time, and I gotta go. And then he called me and he said, yeah, the guy walked in and he asked, who's the contractor? He said, Rugged Construction. He goes, oh, okay. He said he walked through, looked at a couple things, there was water in the shower pans. He goes, oh, you're all good. And walks back out without even looking at half of it. You know, so I mean, reputation is a huge thing. You know, and networking and just making sure people like you. I mean,
Yeah.
just be decent people. Anyway, deadlines are, how important deadlines are, sir.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we gotta sit down and talk about deadlines since we're 2 weeks behind. And then the thing is though, when you're working with a contractor, if you're doing rehabs, since I'm both sides of, we do our own rehabs, but yet I'm a contractor doing other people's rehabs, I understand deadlines. I understand how expensive they are and everything else. Investors can lose their mind over, oh, you're a week late, you know how much that's costing me, and blah, 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 blah. If you're like that to your contractor, I guarantee you that contractor will not come back a second time. I don't care how good a relationship you are, how much you paid them, everything else. Because if you don't treat them like a person, hey, this has happened, what are we gonna do to kind of advance that? Well, I'm gonna try to get all my guys, lined up. So I got all my guys packed there. That's when we got shut down for the permit. I had all my guys scheduled for there. Well, now I gotta sit there and do the last minute thing to try to transfer all my guys around, and when you do that, you gotta do stuff. It's not good for the job, it's not good for, Tim's pocketbook, but life happens.
But the solution, Paul, is just meet the deadline.
Or meet the deadline. There's no reason why my guys can't work 24 hours a day, they can nap on the job site.
Weather in Texas has nothing to do with the desert, right?
You have one job.
Honestly, yes and no.
Yeah, yes.
Because there's a lot of contractors who use that as an excuse. Oh, it was raining, so we couldn't work. You're working inside.
No,
That
well,
has
then,
nothing to do with the weather.
If it's a roofer.
If it's a roofer or something like that, that's good. But that being said, on the Weatherford house, it was rainy or something that week when they were doing all the drywall on the inside and the texture. Because it's humid, it takes things longer to dry out. We don't use the HVAC to dry out the house because you're gonna ruin your HVAC. You can't really use fans in there. Fans are gonna dry it out unevenly, and then you're gonna wind up getting cracks in your texture and stuff. So there's a lot of things to that, but
To know.
to know.
That
But I mean, you
know.
just have to be realistic. If the guy's sitting there blowing smoke for the whole entire job, yeah, I think I'd work with them to try to get the job done, and then maybe not use them the second time.
Yeah.
But so deadlines are important, and then draw schedules. Draw schedules I have an issue with. There's a lot of people on different TV shows and everything else, and in different investment groups, say never give a contractor a dime. You don't pay him anything up front. You make sure he does work for himself. He needs material money. You go buy the materials and deliver to the job site. That's all well and good. You can be a hard nose. If I come across something like that, find somebody else to work. First of all, I am not financing your project. If you're not going to give me, if you don't feel right about giving me money up front to start the project, don't hire me. That's just like a given, But
Well, and I don't go by this, but I know that, in California, it was 10% upfront of the whole job you need to pay immediately upon hiring.
yeah, here we don't do anything in California. When somebody says California, we
We
stop listening. Only because I'm from California. I did a lot of work in California. It's like I was a contractor in California.
Wasn't it 10% that should be paid?
Most of the time it was 10%, and I was against that, and I did my own thing.
Okay.
So I do my jobs according to what it is. If it's a $20,000 job, I'm not gonna get $20,000 up front. I'll get $5,000 up front or whatever I need to pay it, but I'll sit down, hey, we're gonna do this. I don't do necessarily a schedule where we're gonna do this. Well, you give us $5,000, we're gonna do this. Once this is accomplished, we're gonna do another $5,000. I don't do it that way. I just say, okay, we've done $4,000 to $6,000 worth of work, we need the next $5,000. If it's a $100,000 remodel, we do $20,000 chunks.
Okay.
And then we go through and we say, hey, this is, and if the investor wants to, I'll sit down there with them with an invoice and say, okay, this is about 75% accomplished, this is 100% accomplished. We're down to about $3,000 or $4,000, in your job. We can either wait until I've used every penny that you use or that you've given me, and then we can sit there and wait 3-4 days till your check clears and all that other stuff if you'd like to.
Yeah.
We never do that. The people I work with, and this is just specifically for me as
Because you know
a contractor, I either know them or I just have a good feeling about
Right.
it. If they seem like a micromanager or they just seem like a, don't tell me to come to my job that I've been doing for 40 years and tell me how you think I ought to paint. If you're a painter, go paint it yourself. Don't tell me how to paint when you work on cars.
Right.
And it just doesn't make sense. So the whole draw schedule, but get that draw schedule up front. When you talk to the contractor, okay, what is your needs? What is your draw needs? If you feel uncomfortable about it, go ahead and say, hey, I'll go ahead and buy the materials and have the materials delivered. You do that, you're asking for a problem. Because every time the guy needs a screw, guess who he's calling? He's calling you, hey, I need $15 from Home Depot. What are you gonna do? You're gonna stop what you're doing, go get his $15 worth of stuff and take it down there? So if you don't trust the guy, don't use him, is what I say. But, and then your rehab budget. Make sure you put permits and utilities down there. If you're replacing windows and you may replace windows, put money down for a permit. It's not a lot of money, but I think the general permit was a couple $100 on this Weatherford house. But make sure you have that in there because you should have it covered. Especially if you're sitting down negotiating with the seller, negotiating with them and telling them, hey, it's gonna cost me $500 in permits. And if I gotta go pull a permit, I'm putting my time in for that permit too, because I feel that I should get my time, compensated if I have to go deal with the city. But, and then when you deal with the city, just if any of you guys ever deal with the city, you walk in there, you don't know anything, they're God, and you just say, hey, I need your help. Every single time I've ever had an issue, if you walk into some place, and it doesn't matter if it's a driver's license place, if you walk in there and just say, I'm sorry, I need your help, this is my problem, that person will bend over backwards to help you. If you go in there all high and mighty because Joe Blue from Code stopped by my job site, blah, 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 and you pound the desk and everything, you're not getting anywhere. But labor materials, make sure that I get a lot of requests from people that say, hey, I want you to separate out the labor materials. If you're that type of person, go do it. I'm not that type of person. I'm not gonna sit down and figure out every single penny or to the penny. If I'm gonna do drywall, I think my drywall is gonna cost about $600. I'm gonna throw $800, $850 down, because I've got business expense, I've got insurance, I've got diesel and all everything else. But if you want it all broken down in labor and materials, I'm not your guy. But if you're working with anybody you're not sure about, you might wanna say that to test them out. If nothing else, say that to test them out to get just a feeling. Just because you've got to know how that person is going to respond when you're working with them. Because that's a marriage. That's gonna be a 6-month marriage. So.
Do the banks make you do all that as well? Do they help you?
It depends upon the bank. I've had some banks, when we're building houses and stuff, especially when we're building houses, they'll say, hey, I need you to estimate out. So we just got approved Thursday. We're gonna be building a 17-unit townhome complex in Oak Cliff for $6.9 million. So which is kind of cool. But the bank is requiring us to do the same thing. They don't want us to do, so on the larger deals they do, on the little stuff they normally never do. But they, a lot of times they'll just say estimate it out. Hey, on your foundation, estimate out how much your labor and materials are, and they'll want you to split it out. Sometimes I don't do that, sometimes I'll tell the bank I'm not gonna do that. Because a lot of times they want, the banks, I really don't care what a bank wants. If the bank tells me, okay, I'll give the bank anything. But if you give the bank it to the banker, the homeowner or the owner is getting it. And this specific owner we're working with is a very cost-conscious person. So if he thinks that but you have, $780,000 in here for material, I think I can get that for $750,000. We're not playing that game. I'm getting my materials when I need it from who I get it from, because I will pay more money for materials if I get the service with it, because I am huge on service. I can go to any Chevy dealer and buy a truck. I go to the place we go to because the person's a good person and they're gonna help me. And I know Florida Court, when I mentioned Florida Court, on the North Richmond Hills store, we went in there for the very first day they opened, because we used to go to Irving, and then I became friends with the pro desk there. I can call that pro desk and ask them anything, and they'll bend over backwards and take care of me, because you treat them right. I'll walk in there and I'll bring them coffees, or I'll bring them some pizzas or whatever. I don't need to do that as a contractor. They should be doing that for me, but I do that for them just as a little bonus so that way when I do need something, hey, I got somebody coming in, I can't make it in there to pay for it beforehand, so can you just give them the product and I'll run in there later? Oh yeah, no problem. They've given me,
Coffee in the cup.
it says just as good luck on the side. But they've given my guys $1,800, $2,200 worth of materials, and they walked out the door without me paying for it. And then I went there, later that afternoon and gave the credit card and stuff. But it's very important that stuff like that done. But dumpsters and clean, that's a big one. Don't forget it, because the dumpsters we had, I estimated 4 dumpsters, I think, 4 of my dumpsters for all the interior stuff. I think we're at 7 now.
I did not estimate 11 for tree and shrub, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, it did not look like there was that much there.
So what do you do when you do have extra? Like, he only maybe estimated 4 or 5 and you ended up with 11.
You take care of it, you lose money.
That
So
extra
only
money
on, if it's are you talking about what I personally do?
just
or
in
what-
general.
So Tim's gonna do whatever he needs to do to make it look good, because he owns the property, he wants to sell it. So he's gonna do whatever he needs to do. If it comes out of his pocket, it's his choice to make. I'm a little bit different. If I've got one extra dump load or something like that, our friendship and our business relationship is not worth one dump to me. So I'm not gonna say, hey, you owe me $525 because I have another dump. You know, because I'm just not that person. I'm not gonna ruin a friendship and ruin a partnership over $500. To me, it's not worth it.
Yeah,
And from my
four
perspective,
extra.
you know, I did only plan for 4 or 5, I don't remember now, but I had no choice. I mean, I had major tree trimming that had to be done. And you know, sometimes you don't always see how in-depth you need to go. And, you know, I realized that there was a lot more that needed to be cleared, and, you know, we're inside city limits, so I can't burn it.
No.
So I had no choice but to pay the actual.
And then there's just-
And that's one reason why you have a flood factor, a miscellaneous in your
Yeah.
rehab budget to account for those.
So you can't go back to
The
the bank and say, hey, I
No,
underestimated.
not once you close, yeah.
In this case, it's not bank involved, but yeah, see.
Yeah, if you have a bank giving you rehab money, yeah, you can't really go, oh, yeah, I made some mistakes. It's better off telling them you want a 20% contingency on that rehab amount and not use it. Just say, hey, I don't need it. So they'll just either discount it, they'll say, hey, it's in the loan, I'm not redoing the loan papers, so just you take it and do whatever you wanna do with it. But there's other things too, is you can talk as far as a contractor to owner relationship. You can talk to the owner, and so you might have to deal with this if you're doing rehabs. I can't remember what it was, we were talking about, and it was a mistake that I made. I can't remember if it was on the fence or what it was. I think it was a fence, and I said, you know, I had this much in the budget to redo this, but I completely forgot about this the 16 times we walked through the house and then everything else, so I said, I'm just gonna have to replace that fence and eat it, you know, because once again, it's not worth, to me, our relationship is worth a lot more. But then Tim goes, hey, you know what, if it's gonna cost this much, then how about we just half it? But that's a cool thing. And it's because of things like that,
Yeah.
I will do every single house for Tim.
Did I say that?
Because he brings me empty coffee cups.
I thought we figured out that you had it in the budget, you just forgot to write the line item.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. No, but I didn't tell Adele I didn't put that in there either. So thanks for that one.
Back to your point though, you know, if you're using private money lenders, you may be able to go back and renegotiate the loan amount, you know, if there was something there worth doing that for. Hard money, I'm not sure if.
Ryan,
They're not
I was gonna
gonna-
ask Ryan.
I'm not sure they're gonna do it.
Cause they'd have to
But-
rewrite the whole entire loan.
But that's why it's so important that you have private money partnerships at some point.
Randy, do you guys do like course construction loans or rehab loans or stuff like that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
We'll do home construction.
Normal construction loans, yeah. But even with normal construction loans, once the loan's been done, been documented, everything else, you don't change, I mean, you don't alter prices or amounts. Yeah. That's why I tell people that it's nice to have private individuals, people from church. We do deals where we have a little old lady in church, all she has is $5,000, but she wants to put her $5,000 into her name, or into helping us. And so that way we pay her 12% on her $5,000, because it helps everybody. You know, and that little old lady has nothing in the world. She lives in an assisted, well, now she passed away, but she lived in a assisted living place, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then, God rest her soul, she was the most beautiful person ever. When I had my heart attack, and we were, it was 8 years ago, I think. And then all of a sudden I couldn't work. I had to hire 2 people to cover for what I was doing. Then we went to church one day, and she came to me. So, construction is a very expensive business. My payroll runs about $12,000 a week, and then our material costs, just other office costs, runs about 15 to 20 a week. And so, I mean, it's crazy numbers. But then she came to us at church and she said, Paul, here, I want to help you. Gave me a check for $15. And that just melted my heart. You know, but she said, because you help us, you help me when I need it. And it's just, you know, you might as well give me $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just so sweet. But
However,
anyway.
I have something to say about PMLs though, because I
We
am.
do have to move out.
Okay, I am a PML and I only loan on first positions and I'm sitting right now on 40,000 out and a maturity date not made. So be careful, if you do use PMLs, treat them like a bank, treat them
You
with.
need to, because if you have a PML, private mortgage, private lender, if you are going to use a private lender
Yeah,
and you miss one payment, you don't meet one date, I guarantee you, they're gonna think twice about, lending you more money.
I'm suing.
Yeah. Oh, are you really? Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I'm actually, I'm one of.
But you need your money.
8 other investors
Oh.
in this project, and it's in a home in Vegas. So I've already contacted 3 attorneys to submit our paperwork to them. Be sure you have all your
But you
paperwork
have
done
to.
too.
But that goes back to just treat people right.
Treat people right.
If you're gonna borrow private money is the easiest form, to use.
It
It's
is.
so much nicer,
Yeah.
and it's so much easier, and
It's worked before.
don't abuse it, and if you're gonna abuse it, don't use it, don't buy houses.
Don't use it.
At least get them on the phone and talk to them, say, hey, this is what's going on, something.
Thank
But
you.
anyway, dumpster cleanup, holding costs, I think I still run at 1%. I always use 1% of the ARV a month, is what I use for my holding costs. But I figure out your own holding costs, cause mine might be different. And then delays and contingency reserves, we hit that a little bit, but, figure that out. Common mistakes. What's the name? Oh yeah, ignoring permits, we went over that. Changing project plans, we have one guy we do a lot of rehabs for, that he's constantly changing the scope of work as we go. And then he complains that we're over budget. Well, if you're gonna add to it, make sure you have more money. I mean, if you want a nicer project, that's fine, but be aware, if you're a rehabber, be aware that you walk through that house, you go, yeah, this isn't bad, we just need to do this, this, and this. When you do those couple things, and that looks nice, the stuff that, looked okay last time, is gonna look terrible. So that's why a lot of people change stuff as they go. Personalize a project, don't personalize a project, build it to your neighborhood. If you personalize that project, I had a partner one time that we were buying 5 to 7 houses a month. And then she was gonna do all the designer work, my partner's wife. She came in and she loved the color green. She wanted all the kitchen cabinets painted green. And I mean, it's a beautiful color, but if you do that, now you just limited your buyer pool. So just don't personalize your stuff. Hire a cheaper contractor, you're gonna get what you pay for. Sometimes I'll hire the cheapest contractor, but if you know what you're doing, then you can kinda, utilize cheaper people or do whatever you're gonna do. I'm not gonna use an expensive person to load trash. So it's just kind of timeline mistakes. I mean, I think we've killed a lot of this stuff. Over rehabbing and a failure to learn and inspect the complete work. If you're gonna hire a contractor to do some work, know what he's doing. Knows what he's doing, so you can ask the right questions and stuff. If you don't know what to ask him, you don't know if the job's done, if he needs to make a truck payment or he needs to make his rent, he's gonna try to talk you into that, that last check. Say, hey, we need to, we're almost done. Okay, well, what's almost? And then when he starts explaining that, you find out he still has 30% of the work to do. He still has a week worth of work. I guarantee you, most people, if they get all their money up front, we do it all the time, but if they get all their money up front, they're not coming back. So, and we've rescued several people who use contractors like that. This is just some pictures of the damage. This is a pier and beam house. So this is what it looks like underneath. And a lot of Texas homes are not,
Treated wood?
no, it's not ventilated properly, because a lot of these underneath here, this shows one right here, they have vents on the side. So that way air can be exchanged and it doesn't build up humidity in there. What people will do is, especially a lot of the older people, they'll say, well, I don't want the cold air coming in during the winter because then my floor is cold. So they make these plates that go over those vents and it closes it off. So that way your floors aren't that cold during the winter. They forget to take them off during the summer. It gets hotter than Hades in there. And then you get the heat and the humidity and it just starts all the rot. This one's about to fall through. What we do is I use pocket knife. If you can stick a pocket knife through at least 25% of the wood, it needs to be replaced. So that's just, of course, termite damage. Termite damage is a big one. This was termite damage too, when we replaced a shower. So, I think that's it. Is there any other questions you guys have? I think you kind of killed everything.
I've got a question. About how do you deal with change orders?
Oh, I just write it down.
Sorry?
I just write, I do everything in writing, unless it's people that we've worked with before. But if we have a change order, then we'll just, we explain up front. You tell me what you want, we'll write it down, everything else. And then it'll say, okay, in order to do this, it's gonna cost this amount. I get everything approved up front. We've done that on the Weatherford house a couple times, where we decided to replace all the plumbing underneath the house. So we did that, saying it's gonna cost this much money, and it actually cost less money, so I told him, I said, hey, we saved money, and when I could've got more money from him for the coffee he didn't bring me.
Yeah.
But,
What about when you have an allowance item, like say lighting? And you put an allowance in there for X dollars, and then they decide to go get a more expensive product. Do you mark that up with your standard percent on top of that?
Yeah, I normally do. I normally check 20% on. It's common for contractors to mark 20 to 30%
Yeah.
onto materials or labor or anything they're doing. My office expense costs me about 11-12%. But so any of that stuff, I'm gonna mark it up. But if we have, that's why I like on lights, a lot of times you buy your own lights. We do a walkthrough, we need this, 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 and this. You buy your own lights, Amazon's the cheapest to buy lights right now. So you guys buy stuff like that. Faucets and fixtures, we're kind of 50-50 with that. You can buy your own faucets, I don't really care one way or another, but they just need to be on the job site when we need them. But those things that you can buy the same thing for either $40, I can buy a nice kitchen faucet for $40 off of Amazon, or you can buy the same exact thing at Home Depot or Lowe's for $160. So there's such huge differences that, I'll just do. So I don't know if that
You can
answers it.
take that out of the,
Yeah, so if we have a budget, I'm always gonna try to save money. And if we have $1,000 light budget, and it costs me $800 to go get all the lights, as long as you're fine with all the lights, I'm gonna change that line item to $800.
Yes.
Paul, also, don't you have contracts with certain suppliers that will give you a wholesale price as opposed to a retail?
So they don't do that anymore. That's a kind of an old school thing of
Serious?
doing contracts for prices. Prices change so crazily right now. They'll change day to day. I've even had prices change daily, during the day, it changed. So there's no contract for contractors to get better pricing. I get better pricing just because of the relationships I've built.
Yeah.
And then I don't really deal with people that I don't get contractor deals on, or I get something better out of it, or I get good service. I mean, there's a reason why I use those people.
Well, you're not necessarily working on all the materials in Home Depot or Lowe's.
Oh, I go to different places depending on what I'm getting.
Okay, so there can be like, slab. I mean, they deal with contractors and they deal with the public. Sometimes they'll sell hundreds
Oh,
of.
different pricing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I normally go with retail pricing, because in my opinion, if I build a relationship with a supplier.
Yeah.
And I get a better deal, that's because I built our relationship with the supplier. If any Joe Blow can go there and get it for $100, and I can go there and get it for $70, that's because that relationship I built. The coffees I brought, the pizza I brought.
Back to coffee.
Yeah, back to coffee.
The volume.
The volume, and the volume I give them too.
So you pass that on to the.
I don't pass that on, because that's what I built in my relationships with these people.
Right.
If I spend all my time and my effort and my little nice things here and there to build that relationship up, I'm not gonna give that to just everybody, because then I used to, and I just get used. Because then people just call me, oh, hey, who do you use for this? Or, oh, hey, you need to see so-and-so at Florida Court, they'll give you my pricing. They go there, they get my pricing, they never use me. They just use me to get a cheaper price on material, and they went and found some cheap guy to install it.
No,
You
what
know, so-
I'm, okay, I appreciate that, but I'm referring to if I hired you to do a rehab
Mhm.
and you have a relationship, I look on Amazon and I can get that light for $100. you could get it for 70. Do I pay 100 anyway, based on the fact that you've built that
That
relationship?
completely depends upon the job and the person. So if I've done a lot of, if it's the first job with you, no, you go do whatever you wanna do, you're not getting my pricing, cause it's our first job. Second job, yeah, okay, hey, I'll throw you a couple bones here and there. The more business that we do together and then the relationship that we build,
Right.
absolutely. With Tim, I set Tim up with my pool supplier, my swimming pool supplier, so on the Rocky Ridge house. So he went and got all of the new pool equipment and everything else, the motor and everything else there.
Right.
I think he saved, I don't know, $600-800, something like that.
No.
At least.
But that's because we've done a lot of stuff together. And he brings me empty cups of coffee again.
I'm gonna remember that.
Most
You're gonna
of
get a
them are
lot of
full.
empty cups.
Most of, every one of us full except for the one.
Okay, was that
Anyway.
good?
Yes.
All right, so, before I finish up, I want to make one other comment. Paul mentioned early on, about different vendor contractor resources and phone numbers and stuff, and he was talking about buyer's list. I use a tool called RealFlow, CRM tool. It's made for investors, and one of the things I like about it is the contact piece of it. Because for buyers, I can track rehabbers, renters, owner finance buyers, landlords, and commercial. I can build my list by those different categories all individually. So to Paul's point, if I have a rental property, I can send it just to the renter's list. I don't want to send that rental property to the wholesalers and things like that. So I love it for that reason. Many reasons, but that's one of them. Contractors, I can take and if I find a contractor that's referred to me that I like, then I can add it to RealFlow and I can track those. So whether it's a general contractor or an HVAC guy or a pool repair guy or a lawn service guy, I can easily sort and filter all those people in my CRM tool and identify them. I track them. I track the good ones, I track the bad ones. If somebody screws me, I make notes. And it's all caps, do not use, and I put the reason and the property and all that stuff because last thing I ever want to do is refer one of those people to you. Okay, so just one of many things. I have about, between my buyers and my contractors in that tool, I have about 9,000 people in there. Okay? My buyers are broken down by city and state. So I can be very specific. If you want only property in Weatherford, then you're not gonna get property from Orlando, Florida, Alaska, California, Vegas, because of the way this tool works. So that's just one of many reasons that I use that tool. And I've been on it 16 years, so.
That's RealFlow.
But that's real fun. So I just wanna mention that, there's a lot of different ways to build a buyer's list and stuff. And I like to use that tool for mine. So, any questions on that? Okay, was Paul good or what? All right, so let me just wrap it up. We just got a couple more things here. We're not doing the survey today. All right, so next month, increase real estate revenue by becoming the bank. What does that mean? Anybody? Owner finance. Okay. So, Ann Christensen, she has put together a program. She's a data geek, a money geek. She really gets into the tracking of finances, and she's got a new tool that she's built for tracking rehabs and materials and stuff. So she's gonna come talk to us about becoming the bank. How many people in this room have done owner finance? One? Okay. I've done quite a few over the years, and If you don't wanna deal with tenants and toilets as a landlord, but you wanna buy and sell houses, owner finance is a good way to do it. Now, is there a risk involved in owner finance?
Yes.
A lot of risk.
Can you wholesale, tired landlords, tenants, in their apartment or duplexes? So you found a landlord that's tired, is willing to sell.
Okay,
Can
wants
you
to sell a
wholesale it?
duplex.
Can you
Sure.
wholesale that for them?
Sure.
Oh, if they're,
Still gotta comply with the lease agreement,
okay.
but yeah, if there's tenants in it, you still have to comply with the lease agreement. So, but owner finance is big risk, so you gotta learn it, you gotta know what you're doing, okay? What happens when somebody stops paying and you wanna go file foreclosure, right? What happens if they file bankruptcy?
Fashion blanket party.
They stop it.
It stops everything. You can't do anything else with that buyer until the bankruptcy's solved.
Correct.
So there's ways you go handle that, ways you can get the house back. But in the meantime, you know, there's money involved, expenses involved, attorneys, and, so Ann's gonna talk about all that kind of stuff.
Great.
Okay. Upcoming events for new folks here, you can click this link or you can just go to our home page and click on the events calendar and just click on any of those events you see there and register. Please, please, please register as much in advance as you can, just so that we can better plan. Randy buys the food, you know, needs to know how many people are coming. You can unregister just as easy as you register. Just go back to the same place on the calendar and click unregister. So it's okay if you end up having to change plans. So, please keep that in mind. If we have guest speakers coming in, you know, it's important for them to know how many people are sitting in the audience, so if they're bringing things to give away, they know how much to bring. Okay, so, please help us there. First time guests and non-members, I'm gonna make you an offer today. We're gonna open up, we're doing everybody knows it's 250th anniversary, right? Of our independence, and in 1776, so we're gonna be doing guess what, a 1776 offer. So, that offer doesn't officially start until next week, but we're gonna make it available to you today. All you have to do is, you can go see Michelle or come see me. Probably easier to go see Michelle downstairs at the front door, not this Michelle. And she can help you with that, but you have a 1776 offer for the monthly membership. The $25 a month is going to $17.76. How about that? And then we're doing the annual membership going from $225 to $176.76. Okay, so just trying to have fun with it, but we can make that available to you today. For the first folks that want to come up and sign up today, I have 2 bonuses I'm going to give away with those. One is $1 Million Mindstorming with Richard Group, 4 DVDs. Richard is one of the best marketers in the country. He spoke here a few months ago. And then the other one's Instant Marketing Tools that has 7 CDs in here with all kinds of different marketing strategies. So if you join today while you're here, then come see me. One of those is yours.
I'm joined today, can I get it?
Say again?
I'm joined today.
Okay.
I'm the first person, can
Okay.
I
Great. Come see me, take a pic, take a pic. Okay, so, I can't put the value on this group to you. You have to determine that for yourself, but I think it's kind of a no-brainer. You know, there's a lot of content, a lot of value in what Paul taught today with networking, building relationships. If you go around not taking care of people in this business, you're gonna be short-lived, you're gonna find the business very difficult. Life is difficult if you don't take care of people, okay? So, this group has so much to offer you, and I think we are, to my knowledge, the most active group in North Texas. And there is no other REI group in North Texas that offers you the membership program that we offer. Nobody. There's not anything even close. So, and that's where you can go talk for the non-members, go talk to the members, the one with the gold star there on their badge, and see what they think, see what they think. But we want to see you be successful in this business. Not go to YouTube or blogs and read and listen and watch and hope you got the right information. And it's very important to be learning from people that are doing what you want in the market that you need, that you're trying to do business in. Come see me or see Michelle downstairs and we can help you get started today. So that's just the current offer. Okay, 6-month money back guarantee. So there's no other REI group doing this, none. But you gotta be serious about it if you want me to be serious about it. And you can, that's all you gotta do. Make an honest effort. Do these things so I know you made an honest effort. Don't sign up today and come back a year from now and won't ask for money back. It's not gonna work. Okay? I wanna help you, but you gotta help yourself. I want you to at least try what we teach. If you do these things, I will give you your money back. What'd you learn today?
Adele yells at Paul a lot.
I knew that.
I did not know, but I now know.
I can tell from listening to him. Okay, what else? Who learned something?
Don't ask the guy at Home Depot for advice.
Don't what?
Don't ask the guy at Home Depot for advice.
Really?
No.
Okay. Who else?
Calling the city to check on, citations, permit issues, that was a big thing.
Every one of the cities is different, so you just have to call and find out. Some of it's all online now, some of it's not.
Take all coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, well, McDonald's senior coffee.
And then also the scope of.
Very important
Yes,
key point.
very good. The scope of work too.
The engineering report. I didn't do
Engineering
that.
reports,
I had no-
foundation,
Don't say that,
foundation engineering reports, and there's a lot of value in getting multiple estimates on a lot of things, okay? The foundation estimates, you know, I've been doing this a long time, I've never had that kind of problem where I had 4 estimates. The only reason I got 4 is because these 2 were nowhere near each other. When I got the 3rd, that was another one that was totally different, and then the 4th, I just said.
A lot of that, the foundation's up to interpretation. So I have opinion, you know, so a lot of people will put in supporting piers just to support the foundation where it's at. And they'll have 15 reasons, you know, that sound good, why they should do it. But then again, they're not engineers.
So where do you find engineers?
They're all, if you need one, let me know, I've got 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I've got one too. Again, it's all in my CRM tool, I keep track of those things. Anybody that I have used, I make notes on who I used it with. The other thing I like with RealFlow is that if I'm doing this rehab property, like in Bowie Street there in Weatherford, every person I've used on that house is connected to that house in RealFlow. So 5 years from now, if I forget who did the flooring or the HVAC or the roof, all I have to do is go back to the property and it'll tell me who I used. Okay? So my memory don't work very well. I start getting back 10, 15 years. I can go back in, I remember the property, I can go back into the property and see, like the chimney repair guy. I mean, I don't use them very often, so it's hard to remember them, but I can go back to the property that I remember and see who the contractor was. All right, anybody learn anything else?
Somebody didn't read anything or not read?
We learned a lot.
Okay, so if you like and hear what you see, please give us a review. I'm sure that you've all done reviews at some point in time, and I'm sure that all of you read reviews. It's important to us for those reviews. You know, check the stars, hopefully it's a 5-star, but if, you know, we wanna know how we're doing. If we're lacking in some areas, we wanna know that too, honestly, so that we can go fix it. Okay? But we really appreciate if you take time to go through that review. I'm available for whatever kind of help you need, whether it's consulting or mentoring or joint venturing. If you just need help with, you know, if you think you have a deal and it's pretty straightforward, I'm just gonna give you a little guidance and you can go off and do it on your own, unless you just plain don't wanna do it, you want a joint venture with me. If it's more difficult and you need a JV partner, happy to do that. I'm gonna look at it and see if there's a deal there. You know, if there's not if there is no money in it, I'm gonna tell you, you shouldn't go do that deal. Okay? So, but if you need help with any of the tools, hourly consulting, if you just need somebody to do a sanity check on your first contract, your first offer, be happy to do that too. Okay? So, in this presentation that you see says submit a deal. So that is my group website, just like you have. And you can pretend to be a seller of that property that you have. If you want to joint venture with me, you just click that link and submit it to me. I'll look at it and reach out to you and we'll determine if there's a deal there or not. Okay? But if you do submit a JV deal, you want to pretend you're the seller of that property that you want to talk about. Does that make sense? I know occasionally I send out an email for volunteers. If any of you are willing to volunteer on a routine basis or anytime you can come, please let me know. As you know, I'm a one-man show up here. I don't have an assistant right now. Michelle sits down at the front door for the check-in, but that's all she's doing is the check-in stuff. She doesn't do any of the trainings and any coordination of things. So if you have the interest, you can come and help me and get things set up here. Might be simple things like taking pictures and so forth. Time to go buy a house, isn't it? Then call for a rehab estimate. And anybody else you need help with? Is that any questions on anything? No. Is it good? Thanks for joining us. You already said that.
And I enjoyed it. I mean, I was I know, it's been, it's hard. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, it's just mind with
Are you talking about for this? I have been. Hey, listen up, everybody. Listen up. One more quick thing. If anybody is into manual labor, I've put this out a couple of times. times, but I do need help with, I can't find kids that wanna work. So, I know, kids and work, but $20 an hour to help me with breaking and, yeah. You're not qualified. But anyhow, if you're interested in working, I need people to help clean up the yard, raking and hauling stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff is almost done now, but, it's time to start finishing this house and getting it ready for going on the market, so.
I'm your housekeeper for the cleanup. I'll do your cleanup, housekeeper.
I'm hard working.
She'll be your housekeeper for the cleanup.
For the cleanup. When it's time to make it beautiful.
Walk over.
Come talk to me. House cleaning? Are you good?
Yes, of course I'm good. When it comes down to reading,
Yeah, so, you know, a lot of the. This guy shot into his because I do have somebody that I can. She's not always. I think she was, last time I did one for business. For what? Move out? Good windows. Not everybody is. Huh? Streets. I didn't say rain, I said streets.
Streets.
I don't do streets.
You're right, okay. So, yeah, that's right.
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's doing great. I mean, I don't get to do a lot. He's helped me out a couple of things. I give him the gorilla jobs. That's what it is. But he seems like a great guy. I have offered him to, if he wants to work after hours. Again, I'm getting close. A lot of stuff is done, but there's still the final leaves and stuff like that that I've got to get done. But he's indicating like works extra hours. Once he finishes.
Paying for yard work? Paying for yard work? I think for yard work. When are you needing that? When is that?
Well, probably initially, probably and then we'll probably have to touch it up. So I'm probably gonna be next and then just, you know, fine tuning. Probably best if you just.
Okay, so the text you Monday?
Yeah, that's probably.
And then
You have other things already scheduled.
No, I'm just saying, well, you know, just we already had that one. Congratulations, you're almost done, huh?
Well, it's getting close before we start.
Still third week of July, or?
Don't even get us started.
Because that was my concern, when you guys were talking about rehab.
We've all been through that.
You know, the budget, the drawing schedule.
Oh, yeah.
If you're drawing money for rehab, then before you make sure that you're drawing enough.
My family
It's where you have that miscellaneous.
Yeah, it is.
You have to look at running over and over and over and have some resource, some avenue of handling and borrowing. You don't want to run, you don't want to I mean, that's what I was saying. Those are friends and
We'll go for coffee. I can say, you know, this is like,
involved with friends and family, people that have, they don't want to invest in the stock market. Risky.
Everything is.
No, I get it. And that's, I know, I just realized.
Big old bear.
First I came and enjoyed it, and I hear, and I was kind of in and out, but I think should I?
Tell them what you do, 1776. You know, if you want to do monthly or.
Oh, it's just kidding.
It's
He does, we gave him.
and just tell them that she's gonna walk you through it. And, just come on back up here.
Ruins everything.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm an investigator, I helped an investigator in Texas per se. I live with multiple friends. So I ultimately.
And Dominic, that's.
Yeah, you know, as I, dating markets, I try to find something, for BPO.
Well,
But I also.
I'm
So that's. Fixing
Voice of my head right next to me, so.
I'm
Anyways, yes, I have, involved in he actually, went through situation where
the deal works.
the house I had to and I was actually also
Mandatory. I've done.
I feel like I did the lunch side, yes, we gotta get together. He's retired.
You know what, yes, I have in PC, I have to leave.
Anyway, there's my and tell you all the rest. Help me, help this all work.
And so, you know,
I decided,
it isn't, well, but, you know, it's not for everybody, it isn't, but if I have a team,
yes,
you know, capability to do this. And it was,
Yes, we say hi too. So, I live in Weatherford, and I'm in southern Oklahoma now, but this is close.
Well, and even more than not wasting
You,
your
so
time.
you said you lived in.
We did.
Your heart.
Well, my daughter graduates, I hope to come back. My other daughter's in Decatur, so I have a lot of roots here.
I've been out in Wilford for 6 years.
Yes.
You know, I actually
took a
have
job
one
down
that
here.
never closed, I'll tell you why not. But I don't
Outside
know
Fort
who's
Worth.
in the car and
Building is
was
gone
living in
now.
her car.
But I'd get on the road at 5 in the morning and like, oh, there's nobody. Now you can never get on the road.
Exactly, and hope to make it someplace without an accident.
And now all the.
Michelle, yes, there's I'm doing good.
Everywhere and a lot of opportunity
And then, you know what, I look, it's a good network.
I feel like it's different things, it's a good piece.
We had a good
People are
talk.
so professional in other industries. Good, exciting, well, okay, Michelle.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she'll help you out. Get you some of that.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh,
I was like, you were I got sidetracked, sorry about that.
But I made a lot measuring because FHA, FHA's the way to go for her.
So when do you guys?
And well, I actually had no proof and had state money to help her work out. I know, you don't have I forget to never sure, you forget this.
We met earlier, not officially, but yes, nice to officially meet you.
She's going to Decatur, and she's buying some property out of the market.
All right.
My daughter.
We're wealthy to her.
I just said it.
We were just talking about
Because it's
Okay, so
I'm doing it, it's starting coming up,
oh my God, that's right, what you said. Okay, so let me write this down.
so 1776.
Oh, that's 1776.
Yes.
Okay.
I used to ride on a police house with the kids.
Next week, we're gonna talk to it's gonna be available.
Yeah, it can be done right now. We made that, and we just haven't told anybody about it until today. So they can do it today, or they can wait until they see the announcement. Either one.
And Catherine's something you don't think about because.
What is that?
So I don't know, footing,
Yeah,
are you talking about West Virginia?
I'm not sure.
You're talking about house, because I'll get house.
I know you're thinking house, right?
Because I know zero of course.
Did you refer to
She
something?
didn't do it, she did, so she's always.
Oh, yes, okay, so she don't finish her own. Because you. Yeah.
So we should join some automatic stuff.
That's the way our system's set up.
We just watched,
I wish you